just blame everything on late stage capitalism. That's what I like to do.
You know what? I think the most horrible thing I've seen that I'm blaming on late stage capitalism is?
I don't know. What?
Fridge scaping. Have you seen this phenomenon?
No, what the fuck is that?
It's people who are overly stylizing the contents of their refrigerator and putting it on social media. So like making the contents of their fridge pretty. So like herbs and like antique pitchers and water and like little awnings and things for the butter station and little signs that say like, I have too much goddamn time on my hands.
I would just like to give a trigger warning right now. Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but...
Recently, I've had two people who, at one point in my life, I was very close to, who are both close to me in age, commit suicide. And I'm not going to say it's fridge scaping, but I mean, it seems like if we've got people fridge scaping and people unaliving themselves, there's got to be some kind of correlation. I mean,
yeah, like in a comparing yourself to other people's lifestyles or something kind of way. Like, yeah. And like the near constancy of it. Because we've always done that, like lifestyles of the rich and famous, we're like.
And keeping up with the Joneses and whatever.
And like MTV Cribs, but it wasn't like available 24 hours a day to like fuck your brain. I didn't realize you had a second one. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh. I remembered the second one you were talking about.
Yeah. It's been a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Here in the dark part of this timeline. Not the darkest timeline, but it's the dark part of this timeline for sure. But yeah, it's and I we just kind of recorded back to back, and I didn't want to ruin Ferris Bueller's Day Off with it. So sorry to drop it here, but I feel like Teen Wolf doesn't have a whole lot to redeem itself. So
yeah. Well, it goes along well with how I wasted time this week. So
oh, that's good. How'd you waste time?
The sad things we're talking about.
Oh yeah, y'all. If you're struggling. And I know you're struggling in some way, shape, or form, or you're completely delusional. And if so, hang on to your delusions. Why not? Check in with people. Check in with people. If you don't have people, we can be your people. There's people out there. There's hotlines. There's all kinds of stuff. But despite this being a dark part of the timeline and late stage capitalism and movies like Teen Wolf existing, it's not that bad. And no matter how bad it seems, in both of these cases, these are men who left partners and children. And that's just hard because I know that is when you're feeling like there's no other option, So please keep an eye on your mental health and check in on your friends. And
I was just going to say, if you're doing all right, check in on other people. Like, because for once in my life, like, I'm doing pretty good. And so
I'm doing awesome.
I'm actually doing really awesome. I'm only mildly waiting for the bottom to drop out. I did have a nightmare kind of last week that had a week where I was just like, I don't care about being a good teacher. Fuck y'all. So, just trying not to like get anxious about that and sabotage it but also, but yeah, I feel like I'm doing well in a lot of respects. And so So I wasted a lot of time worrying about other people's mental health this week. Including my students being overly cautious of trying not to harm their mental health in any impactful way, to not be the memory that lives with them for into their adult life. And I had a fail this week, where in sociology I had them gave them an article that was looking at like how as a nation we are decreasing in lifespan, whereas other countries similar to us in many respects are still increasing. And so kind of trying to apply like sociological perspectives to like why. And one of the topics was about unaliving yourself, and I didn't like give any kind of like trigger warning or like preface it. And I had a student that like got very upset and like had to leave. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And like, you know, they went and did what they needed to do, as far as like talking to like one of our mental health people, and they emailed me and I emailed back. And I, you know, when the kid came back, I was like, you don't have to do this. I will get you a different assignment. And then like later on apologize for like not just being like, here you go. You know, let's read about death and suicide. Woohoo. And my students always give me a hard time for like overthinking like my word choice and like things. And they were like, why? And so then I had to like tell them about the two kind of teacher memories I have that could have, you know, and I was like, and you know what? Maybe I'd be president today if it weren't for these things. You know, like,
yeah. Yeah, and mom will be editor of the New York Times. Yep.
You know, or you know what? Maybe I would have gone to law school. Who knows? Like, you know, like when I wrote the letter to the editor, and then like the cheerleading coach like yelled at me in front of like my entire theater class.
Yeah.
Or like the spelling teacher that accused me of cheating the one time I actually put forth effort on something, you know. And then it was really funny because like my friends and I were texting, and my friend, her daughters, and like I don't know, fourth or fifth, sixth grade something. And she said that she convinced her to take up the saxophone and be in the school band playing saxophone. And I was like, oh, I remember when I was in like 6th or 7th grade and I wanted to play the saxophone because of Lisa Simpson. And Dad flat out told me no, because they had spent so much money on you doing the violin and the viola. And then like you like, and they were like, well, if she can't stick with it, we fucking know you won't stick with it. So I was like texting them about that, and they were like, oh man, that's like really shitty of your parents. Da, 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 da. And I was like, you know, I think the fail wasn't telling me no. That was actually probably a good choice on their part, because I wouldn't have become a world famous saxophonist or ever practiced.
Yeah.
The real fail is like not trying to figure out what was going on with me in a lot of respects. And then I watched The Fall Guy. Those are how I wasted time.
Oh, how was it? I want to see it.
It's really good. Like, it's really good. Like, Ryan Gosling is a goddamn national treasure. And I think I wrote down, except that he's Canadian, but now I'm like, is he Canadian? Yes. I know Ryan Reynolds was Canadian.
Oh, I
don't think Ryan Gosling's Canadian.
Maybe he's not.
I don't think he's Canadian. Because he was on the Disney, like he was on the Mickey Mouse Club.
True.
So I don't think
he's all American.
Yeah, so he's just a fucking national treasure. Like I already loved him, and then he put the Ken stuff. He was my favorite thing in the Barbie movie.
Yep.
And it's not because of internalized, you know, patriarchy, whatever. Because nothing in that movie was new information for me. So I did not have the like life-changing, devastating reaction that other women seem to have had. But then this just like further just he's just great. So so I really enjoyed The Fall Guy a lot. So you should watch it because it's streaming for free on Peacock.
Okay, I'll watch it on Peacock. That sounds great.
Oh, and we've now watched Harry Potter 8 times.
Okay. I just want to go back to death and suicide for just a sec, but not for real, in a joking way. Throughout my life, I've had bad crushes. And one of the bad crushes that I had was on a guy who was a drummer. And there was a whole thing where he got tricked into kissing me. And then after that, he would always try to talk to me. And one time we drove him back from a rock show to the rock show house for the after party, and everybody else got out of the car, and he and I were sitting in the car, and he's like, yeah, I don't really know how to talk to you. Like, I don't know if I should like talk about death and suicide or whatever. And I was just like, I'm an introvert. I'm not like an 80s goth girl. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, my memory is he was trying to talk, and like he was like being like, no one thinks that I can talk about like deep things, like yeah, like no like one ever wants to talk about real things or thinks that I can talk about really deep things, like death and suicide.
What? So I have bad crushes and I break people, so I don't really...
That does remind me. There was something we watched recently, and I made a note, but I don't think I talked about it. But somebody was like, oh yeah, like when so when we watched Saved by the Bell and Kelly was trying to was being a waitress, and Screech was like, oh, she's the best waitress ever, she's God. Good. It just made me automatically think of the time you had a bad crush on somebody, or maybe it was you. Yes, you had a bad crush, and our friend was like, just started like laughing hysterically, like you had just said the funniest thing in the world anytime that person was near us. And then like somebody would like, there was a girl nearby that was getting so mad, like it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why are y'all having so much fun? Like, but she was just like funny, laughing her knee and shit. Like, oh man,
yeah.
Woo. Man, times that were good either because they were good or because we drank so much we only remember the good parts, or we suppressed that, or it's been so long that we only remember the good parts.
It's been a lot. We our 80s teens to the max happened in the early 2000s, and we were in our 20s. So
I like to call it that, and then later I had my Rumspringa.
Yes, you had your Rumspringa.
Yeah. That might have been my 80s teen to the max, to be carefully. Much more Teen Wolf version of 80 teen to the max than. Anywho, how'd you waste time this week, Heather Davis?
That's it. I had a major career shift, and I got rejected by an agent, and so thankfully though that made me just want to write more, and good. Just checked in with Elaine Davis about seeing how much it would cost to add me to our gym membership. So I'm trying. And also, honestly, all of the stuff that's upcoming with Eddie, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, like, I can't do a job and do this. Like, this is impossible. That would have just been insane. So I'm still feeling pretty good about it, getting lots of kind texts from people who are like, are you okay? If you need anything, let me know. So that's nice. So it's I kind of blew up my job, and I didn't really do it on purpose, but maybe in the end it's going to end up working out okay. So yeah, that's me. And
we're like, it's probably for the best, or like toxic positivity, silver lining, but like.
Honestly, they're not. It's true. Good. Like,
well, I mean,
genuine
like in general, like, but
yeah, no.
In this case,
a lot of my friends are people that I've worked with through the years that maybe I don't. I mean, they still work where I worked, and so most of them are like, you need time to heal, and this place breaks people. It's like, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Like even Martha was like good, because I guess Ben told her so. When I saw her yesterday, she was like good because like. Every time I ever talked to her, she hated her job. And I remember like we'd be having dinner or something and she'd have to go be on her phone and like take care. I was like, well, that wasn't as bad, but yes, for a very long time that it was like all consuming. So
Yes. Yeah. So I get to take a little break, just like when I took a little break in college, and think about what I'm going to do next. So, and thankfully, I've got a couple of vacations scheduled, and we just wasted a little bit of time booking Mom's trip to come see you guys for Thanksgiving. So,
woohoo! I need to look at Christmas tickets too, December.
Yeah. Let's book out a fun rest of the year. And,
hey, I've got so many things fun planned. I'm a little stressed about making sure I don't spend money. I have enough money to do all the fun things and pay my bills.
Yeah.
But I've actually been better about that too. So
that's good. I am much better at eating at home right now.
Yeah, I've been very good about that.
Zero excuse. Like, well, I think I have enough time to make whatever food I want to eat. So I guess I'm going to cook again. I mean, I've got a whole freezer full of meat from when I was doing like my version of HelloFresh. So, so I've got veggies and stuff. So we're having.
I have been getting very good at telling Elliot no, and he is getting slightly better at accepting that.
That's great.
Actually, no, I would say he's getting a lot better, depending on the day, but I think he's getting, and also not asking, right? So, like,
even better.
Explaining to him why he couldn't go to the sketchy ass circus behind the sketchy ass motel took a minute.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I didn't use the word sketchy, and then Ben used the word sketchy, and he's like, what's sketchy? I was like, just not safe.
Not safe.
So, sorry if you also, it's like $25 for adults. I was like, no.
Yeah.
That's not how I want to spend $25. So,
no, that sounds terrible.
We're working on it. So, yeah, Teen Wolf, what did you remember?
I remembered that Jason Bateman was in the sequel. And possibly I like the sequel better. I don't know. I'm not going to rewatch it.
I don't know. I tried watching it after I watched the original, and after about 5 minutes, I was like, I can't. Maybe because it was too soon, but I also thought that. I was like, well, maybe the sequel was better.
Yeah. I find Jason Bateman very compelling, so that was good.
Yeah.
I remember what I called car surfing, which was actually van surfing. I remembered the relationship with the father and kind of that reveal that you get with the dad. Not to ruin the movie, but Michael J. Fox is a teen wolf and his dad is also a werewolf. And then I remembered that they made a show about it that aired. It started airing when we were in grad school, and I started watching it, and then I stopped watching it, but then I think it got steamier and better later on. Did you ever watch the show?
I don't know. I think I may have. It definitely came up when I searched it, but did you know that they also made a cartoon? 2 seasons, 1987 to 1989.
Ugh, how bad? Why?
And I do think I actually may have watched that because it, when it kind of came up, because when I was looking for part 2 and it came up, and I was like, oh,
like the Punky Brewster cartoon.
Yes, very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I have surprisingly a lot of notes for this movie. I'm really surprised.
Do you want to know what I remembered? Railroad?
Yeah. Sorry.
Beach Boys surfing on a car. Also, I think I knew it was a van. I just wrote car, but sure. Dad's a wolf. Basketball. Confederate wolf, which actually turned out to be Union Soldier wolf. Michael J. Fox, kind of a slacker. And then I wrote Styles or Skiles ? And school play. I wrote that. That's pretty much all I remember.
You remembered a hell of a lot more than I did, girl. I was not surprised when I learned that basically they were like, oh, Fast Times at Ridgemont High made a whole lot of money. Let's make one like that real fast. And that's how Teen Wolf came to be.
I wondered. I was like, where did this script come from?
This is nothing.
I mean, only 2 writers.
Yes.
Also,
Fast Times at Ridgemont High was written by Amy Heckerling, who is a woman.
Oh.
So, yeah.
This opening was very dramatic for a very stupid movie.
Yes.
Which is why I noticed that there was 2 writers, because there was nothing else to look at. So it was black and white text and then a heart beating. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It did have a woman editor, so I like that.
I feel like it didn't have a very large budget.
Definitely not. That was their idea. It was like, make a movie as cheap and as fast as you can. And I mean, it's like Roger Corman filmmaking, except at the Hollywood level, but it did not. Like, I'd much rather watch a Roger Corman. Like, Roger Corman's version of Teen Wolf would probably be enjoyable to watch. Like,
so was this before or after Back to the Future?
So they were both released in 85, but this was filmed before, I believe.
Okay, so I was going to say, because like, how did they get Michael J. Fox if they were...
Yeah, they couldn't have. And he was still filming Family Ties.
Yeah.
So he had to, like, they had to film this while he was on a break.
Okay.
Because I guess the woman who played his mother on Family Ties got pregnant or something, and so they had to, like, change the schedule. So that was the way that they got him. But... So he was still a name. I mean, because he was very popular on Family Ties. So.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, I'm sure he got much more expensive after Back to the Future. He is a lovely person, but he's not a very good actor. Like, he's just him.
Yeah, it's just him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a movie star.
Okay. There's a difference between an actor and a movie star. Like...
that's to me. I mean, Tom Cruise is, I think, arguably, maybe. Matthew McConaughey... I mean, he's mostly, George Clooney. I mean, they're just mostly kind of like... They're
never going to play somebody where you forget who it is.
Yeah, they're
not like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
They're not Daniel... Well, because Philip Seymour Hoffman, I would say, is more like a character actor. Yeah. But, I mean, they're not Daniel Day-Lewis. They're not Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, they're not...
What about Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks is definitely a movie star. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Tom Hanks didn't know how to do the accent for Forrest Gump until he heard the kid that was playing him do his accent, and then he copied that accent.
Okay.
I love Tom Hanks, but like,
what about the Elvis movie?
As part of why that movie was difficult, I think, was because Tom Hanks is incredibly likable, and the Colonel is incredibly unlikable.
Did I tell you what his version of that reminded me of?
No.
Do you remember the episode of Doctor Who that doesn't have the Doctor in it, but it has like the fans of the Doctor and the giant like thing that eats people?
Yes.
That alien is what the Colonel in the movie.
The Mr. Blue Skies episode?
Yes, the Mr. Blue Skies episode. Yes, which I will always thank for introducing me to that song because I love that song. Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, we digress.
That's okay. It's okay.
I did write, how did he make the basketball team? And then I realized that the whole team sucks. And then I also wrote, that fat punk from Pee-wee.
Francis!
I couldn't remember his character's name.
He was much older than the other actors playing teenagers, so it's interesting that they selected him. But, yep, that was Francis. That was great.
Oh, I meant to look up where the bad guy was from, what else he might have been in, because he was actually pretty good of an actor, I thought.
He was, but I made a note, like, so a few things. That coach chews gum like that's his whole job.
I mean, he's not really doing much else.
Yeah, the trio of girls, like, so there was Boof and then like two girls behind her in the very first basketball game.
Yes.
Like, they just looked like the coolest girls in the school, and I don't know why he was trying to have a crush on that blonde girl. Like, that was dumb as fuck.
Yes.
Secondly, why don't they sell cartons of orange juice at the counter at Lowe's? Did you see all that orange juice for sale? No. She's like, I don't know what kind of preservatives were in it because it was just out there on the counter, but it was these little like milk carton-sized cartons of OJ on the counter. I was like, is this a promotion? What is happening? It was very weird. And then after he goes to the hardware store and he takes all the shit to the theater.
Yeah.
I was like, why does he carry everything like I do? Like, he's carrying way too much trying to make one trip by himself.
Like, get a goddamn cart.
Dropping everything. I'm like, oh, Michael J. Fox, this is how I do. This is not good. But I did like the coach was like the epitome of a lazy coach, and the vice principal was a principal, like, bah, vice principal. And then the drama teacher was a drama teacher. Like, everybody was like, God. Okay, no notes. The drama teacher was a
fucking creep.
And then we have the first time that Styles surfs on the van.
Oh, wow. Okay, you're just...
Oh, sorry. Did you want to talk about something before Styles surfing on the van?
Well, I like when they come in, they're playing the basketball game, and their coach wants to forfeit.
Yeah.
And the other coach is like, there's a lot to learn from losing. That actor is somebody, and I forgot to look that up too.
Yeah, no, he looks familiar.
Yeah, like his voice was like really familiar. Like I think he played stuff when he was old. I want to know if 80s teachers are really this terrible. And then at first I was like, boop, boop, boof. Like, what is her name? Like the first time they said it. Like, boof? Like, what the fuck is her name that they're calling her Boof? Like, where did that nickname come from? All right, sure. Oh, the blonde girl, what a bitch.
Yeah, what a bitch.
The Orville Redenbacher owning a liquor store.
Oh, and did you hear the woman that was like in line in front of him who was like, "Do you have any of that brown liqueur?" Like
whoever
brown
was
liqueur.
talking, I kept trying to figure out because like you could hear someone because there's like multiple women in line in front of Michael J. Fox, and then like you could hear a woman talking, but like their lips were never moving when I could hear someone talking. I was like, "Is there?" It's like there's a woman on her phone walking around the liquor store, but I know that there's not. Like I was like, "What is happening?" I love it's all women. They're like, "Give me liquor,
my brown liqueur."
Okay, before you talk about him surfing on the van, I have to ask, like,
yes,
did they spend all of the money budgeted for music on getting the rights to surfing in the USA?
Yes, because like this is definitely top 10 worst soundtracks I've ever heard in my entire life.
Terrible score, terrible. It's like the same score as Mannequin. Like all the sounds that get them from one scene to another are like the exact same sounds for Mannequin.
Oh, bad.
But like every other song in this movie is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like they were like, we're gonna get surfing in the USA, and now we're out of money.
Yeah, no, I think between like Michael J. Fox and the Beach Boys song, that's...
and I wrote, so when he was in the liquor store and his eyes glowed, I wrote, I am the key master.
Yeah, they were like, it doesn't really make sense, but it looked cool. I'm like, there you go. That's Hollywood in a nutshell. It doesn't really make sense, but it looked cool.
Because then his eyes never glowed again. It was the only time his eyes glowed was when he was like... No,
he made them glow another time, but yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. It was at least one more time. I just wonder, so they go to try to procure the keg to go to the party, right? So this is a big, long day. They like play basketball, and then he goes to work, and he has dinner with his dad. And after work, he goes back to school and delivers the paint cans like me. And then he goes home and has dinner with dad. And then it's time to do van surfing on the way to the most high school party that ever happened outside of Can't Hardly Wait. My question is, the van surfing on the way there, no one can see them.
It's dark.
Why is he doing it?
Yeah. Like, I remembered it in night. So I guess I remembered it when Michael J. when Wolf does it. Because I remembered it, like, being during the day.
Yeah.
But, like, it's nighttime. And how many Jack in the Boxes do they have in that town? Or, like, were they just driving in circles? Because they passed, like, Jack in the Box, like, twice.
And they were definitely supposed to be in the Midwest. They were definitely in the Valley. So the Valley. Like, they found one street that didn't look like the Valley to where their houses were, but it was definitely the Valley. I did like when he tried to lift the keg and he fell down, because, y'all, we can tell you from real life, kegs are heavier than you think they are.
And we had a bonus keg. We didn't even have a full-size keg.
Shit is heavy.
Yeah. That's why people roll them.
Evidently.
Yeah. And then there was like 6 of them, and they're like, well, you can just take it home with you if it's still left at the end of the night.
Yeah, that was pretty shitty. There was a lot.
What? I was going to ask you what you thought of these party games. There's a lot of thought and prep that it went into.
I was going to talk about that. It seems interesting that, like, Styles is like, he's got this matchmaker person who clearly both hates her job and loves it, and is wearing a very sexy costume. Well, she's
one of the 3, right? She's one of the coven of witches who was watching the cool girls.
Okay.
Yeah, she shows up. Cool. later.
Like, I feel like later she's going to go to a midnight show of Rocky Horror and, like, play Magenta. Like, that's what's going on with her.
That girl looks so pissed. Like, how does she get rid? Like, is he just another one of these? Like, I feel like Styles is very much one of these people that convinces you to do things you don't really want to do.
Definitely. Yeah,
like, very much a Ferris Bueller, but, like, not as with no sweetness.
Yeah. And also, there's no wholesomeness to Styles at all. He's like, I'm going to make money off my friend. I read later that there is someone semi-famous, possibly, who actually went and legally changed their name to Styles with a Z, inspired by this character. Like, within the last decade, this happened. Like, what?
Not Harry Styles. He's got an S.
Yeah. It's a first name. Like, they took on Styles as a first name.
Well, they're not that famous because I don't know who the fuck they are.
No, but you know how people are famous now. Have you ever seen An American Werewolf in London?
I haven't, because I don't like scary movies.
Oh,
I've seen the video for Thriller.
Wow, man, I don't know how they got away with some of this stuff. Michael Jackson must have been distracted with terrible things, because also, did you ever go to a party where people did the 7 minutes and have it in the closet thing?
The closet thing, yes. All the other shit, no. Like,
not the eating
like,
Jello out of a shirt.
Like, Styles was like trying to get invited to this party, but then now he's like suddenly the masters of ceremonies.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense. Yeah,
like the Jello and the people that were just like there on the floor tied to each other, like in whipped cream in their underwear, and like the guy and the girl that exchanged clothes. Like, I mean, it was funny. Like, I mean, it sounds like more fun than a regular high school party, which I didn't ever go to parties in high school.
Well, because they didn't have masters of ceremonies, so
I think they just drank and fucked. I don't know. Like,
we did. So I should, for the audience to understand where I come from, and I think you come from. Yeah. I threw parties in high school all the time. They were They were only with my friends.
Yeah.
We usually had a theme or a game, or like one time we actually did a whole, what are those things called? Where you go and you get clues and you keep going and searching more.
A scavenger
hunt. We had a scavenger hunt, and it was the most Denton scavenger hunt ever. And the most confusing clue we did was worst parking lot in town, which was Hastings, but people kept guessing other parking lots because we have many terrible parking lots.
Now it's Kroger.
Well, yeah. So anyway, and it was great because like people actually really got into it. Like the people that were working like were willing to help us and all this shit. So we spent a lot of time putting on parties. There was never alcohol there. Like I didn't even drink alcohol until I was 20 years old. Like we had no booze. We were the nerdiest of nerds.
Yeah, there was no drugs. Like it's not like we were getting high instead of getting drunk. Like
we watched Andy Warhol movies. Like no, we just
prank call payphones at 7-Elevens.
We didn't do that.
That wasn't really a party. That was just like hanging out one night. But like, you know, like I had like all my friends were in bands. So like my 16th birthday party, I had like 4 bands play in the living room.
Yeah.
We can have fun without alcohol. I'm actually like a little on my high horse about that.
Yeah, I feel like we're at a part now where enough people have had liver damage and other damage from alcohol that they're starting to realize that like alcohol is just a social lubricant and it's not really good for you. Like it's not actually a good thing that we consume it so much.
It does taste good though.
It can taste good, which is nice. Yeah. And that's fine. But
when I started drinking, it did not taste good. It was very much like a means to an end.
Oh, my first hangover was like fucking, it was Southern Comfort and orange juice.
I'm pretty sure mine was like Boone's Farm.
Oh, man, no.
It wasn't like it wasn't the worst hangover, but I remember being like,
yeah, no, that's not a
Southern Comfort and orange juice.
No, dude, it was bad. It was bad. But I will say that once, I think it was either 5th or 6th grade, I had a birthday party, and you kept trying to come into the birthday party because you were obsessed with me.
That.
And not your fault. I was the coolest person you knew.
I can't argue because I remember when I'd have friends over, I'd always get mad because you'd come in and they'd be like, this is so cool. So I can remember crying to mom, being like, make her go away. All our friends like her better than me.
I honestly didn't try.
We'll see what happens in Asheville. We'll see if I can get your friends to like me better than you.
It's like people with cats. Like I was just like, I'm ignoring you. And they were like, You're
anyway, sorry.
We want your attention. Anyway, so my friend Jason was there, and we were like, we got into the closet, and we were like, wouldn't it be funny if? And we were like, yeah. So we like made fake makeout noises, pretend that we were making out, which is really funny. And then the only other story I have like that was in 9th grade. I think it was 9th grade. I was at a party, and we were playing Spin the Bottle, and it landed on this guy, or he landed on me. And not only did the bottle land on me, the next second I knew he was like on top of me, and I was like, what? So evidently he had a crush on me, and I had no idea, and that was how I found out. Like, holy shit. But of course, my friend liked him, so then I couldn't like him, even though he liked me, because,
girl code.
9th grade bullshit. But anyway,
that's always so funny when you like find out people have a crush on you, like especially if it's like years later or whatever.
Yes,
and you're like, well, damn it, like, like that time that one friend came over and we were like hanging out in my room, and he's like, we should take our clothes off, and I was like, or he's like, I feel like getting naked, and I was like, you should probably go home then. And then like years later, he like, because Denton, like friend of a friend, I'm like, you told her that like we almost had sex once, and I was like, that is not what happened. But even then, I wasn't like, oh, he likes me. I was just like, what a weirdo, like, or like, because that person he really liked to be naked sometimes, and like I was all like afraid of sex and prudishy, so I was just like, no, bye. Like,
sounds like it's time for you to go home, my friend.
Yeah, I was like, cool. Well, see you later.
Naked time is a thing we do by ourselves.
Or my depressed state in the dark, like away from mirrors.
So that was the party, and
I really liked his line about having a $6 haircut. Like that actually made me laugh.
It was like, I have this, I have a $6 haircut.
And I got a $6 haircut. I have a lot of problems. I don't need this.
I thought that was good. And then I was confused because I thought they were only werewolves from the waist up. And I was like, how does that work? And then I was confused because the next day...
Like a backboard centaur?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't understand this at all. Like, it's like an opposite mermaid. I don't know. It was weird. But then later he was on the basketball court and he had hairy legs, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess they're fully werewolf, but in a
his hair was so... And I love it. Okay. When all the humans are playing basketball, including Michael J. Fox, they are so goddamn motherfucking sweaty every time.
Yes, so much sweat.
But
disgusting.
Teen Wolf, that hairy mother beast fucker running around the court like nothing.
It's because he was panting it out like a dog.
I guess. Like, thank God. Because, like, his hair was just like, I was like, Like, I was like the other kid. Who was the little younger kid they hung out with? And then, like, later he's like, hey, dude. And he's like,
they were leery of him. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was me. That would be my reaction. I was like, this is not attractive. Like,
yeah, it was very, very strange how quickly everybody was like, yeah, that's cool that you're a werewolf. Like, we love this.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not how teenagers work.
Homegirl, blonde bitch's face, she makes the best fucking face. Like, when he turns and she's like, I can't. Like, it is the ugliest, dumbass face, just like.
And I like the day after he figures out he's a werewolf, because he's a werewolf because he's got a mullet.
Yes.
And then that same day, I was like, how many lit classes is he taking? Because he was in 2 separate literature classes. Like, there were 2 separate literature examples happening by 2 different instructors. And I'm like, is he majoring in English? Is he me? Is he a nerd? What's happening? It's really weird.
Well, maybe one was like a history. One was science. He was definitely in a science class.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, one of them was definitely science. Yes, but
that's the one he ran out of.
2 of them were straight up literature.
Okay.
And then I wanted to talk about something. This has kind of been like, you know how things just kind of cycle in your brain for a little while and, you know, you think about them and eventually
I don't know anything about that.
So recently I was feeling bad for dudes because I was thinking about the fact that like when they go to the bathroom, they have to expose their dicks, right?
Mm.
And then I remembered that the size and shape of our breasts are always visible. Always. There is no reveal. Like, as soon as we have them, they're just there. And, you know, we can try to, like, Billie Eilish and cover them up and do all that kind of stuff. But, like, they're just there. And so I don't know why I even wasted time feeling bad for dudes. Because, like, more than 90% of the time, nobody knows what their dick looks like. Nobody has a clue. Like, why was I stressing? Why was I feeling empathy?
My experience, they really like taking them out, like, from a young age. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal.
I don't know. I feel like there's still
we'll
a
see.
lot of...
I mean, maybe, you know, if somebody makes fun of Elliot for being uncircumcised, he might have an issue with taking it out, but...
Yeah.
We'll I don't know. At this point, it's really hard to keep him, for him to put pants on.
Speaking of keeping it in, Styles' pants are enviable.
Yes.
He has some great pants.
Yeah. And I love that he's always wearing some kind of shirt. So, like, even, like, the dad, like, without seeing it, was like, nice shirt, Styles. Like, didn't even see his shirt, but knew that he was wearing a shirt with some stupid-ass fucking... Like, the fact that he's in school with a shirt that says something, dick nose is like, how is that even, like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That wouldn't have been good.
Yeah. Like, no.
Scott's dad is the best Kids in the Hall character that never aired. And then I was confused because I felt like Scott showed Styles what was going on with him, and then Styles called him beautiful. Yes. But he couldn't tell Boof what was going on, and I'm like, she's supposed to be your bestie. Like, you guys actually have real conversations with each other and, you know, have this pass the Bechdel test and everything. Like, you can't tell her. Like, Styles thinks you're beautiful.
What else do I have? I wrote, no one likes to show off.
Could you tell me what about being a wolf makes one a better basketball player?
Don't know. When you're played by someone taller?
I was so confused. Like, literally, if you think about the things that make a wolf, like, what?
I mean, they can jump. I mean, they can, like, leap and jump and stuff. And that's mostly what he was doing.
I guess.
Well, but then also, like, I mean, I think the moral of this movie is about confidence. Because remember, in the end, spoiler alert, he didn't need the wolf to win at basketball.
That's right. But also, he was not good at basketball.
No.
And then I wrote,
did you like the coach's 3 rules about life? Are you gonna incorporate
coach's 3 rules about life? As soon as he said them, I wish I had written them down.
I did write them down.
Oh, good. Lay them on me. These are good.
Never get less than 12 hours of sleep.
Correct.
Never play poker with a guy whose first name is the same as a city.
Also, don't date someone whose first name is a city. And
never go near a woman who has a dagger tattooed on her body.
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
I think that's good life advice right there. I mean,
pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd read a whole book of advice from that dude.
Yes, I would.
You know what I was thinking, though? I was thinking about how big a fucking deal everybody is about trans. And then I was like, and this kid is just like a fucking hairy ass wolf motherfucker.
And everyone's like huzzah.
You. 0 questions. We think it's perfect.
Not everyone, but most people, yes.
Yeah.
I like that. So when they're talking about the dads and Boofy Boof, it's like, I'm surprised they're not calling it the Teen Wolf Ball. And it made me think about this person who works at our school, an adult man who is questionable, does questionable things, and yet doesn't seem to get fired. And last
Careful here, don't blow up your life. Continue.
I have tenure. It's a lot harder for me to blow up my life.
Continue.
Yes. So he started coaching one of our sports teams last year. And decided that they were going to put on a dance, and he named it after himself and called it the blank ball and used his last name.
Wow.
And made flyers with memes and pictures of him and put them all over the school. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad that this is what you have time to do all day.
The confidence of a mediocre white man.
Yes. So it really made me. And then I, was slightly tickled when it turns out not that many people went. He had t-shirts made and ended up having to giving them away after said event. So it was really amusing to me. So anyway, so yeah.
So it was fun to find out that the person I thought was the principal who was giving Scotty such a hard time is actually a vice principal.
I know.
We had the whole Professor Snape line, storyline in there. That was cute.
Yes.
And then I was even more amazed to find out that he had a convertible station wagon, which is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Didn't even notice that, but
it was so good.
I did. I was like, you're only a vice principal? Like, damn. Also, a wolf conga line? Like, what the fuck was that? Like,
of course, there's a wolf dance. Yep. Put that. I felt bad for Scotty because basically he gave his virginity away for nothing. Like, that sucks. Like,
I love that you assume he was a virgin.
Do you think he was not a virgin? He had a $6 haircut. He was best friends with his dad and worked at the hardware store. And instead of having a crush on a girl who was cool and awesome and his friend, he had a crush on an idiot who was a bitch.
Yeah, she was
and wasn't a very good actor, bitch. Even for high school.
Again, I'd like to notice the whiteness of this movie, and that the only time you see a black character show up is to breakdance.
Yep.
And to play basketball.
Yep. Sounds perfect.
And they have no lines.
Yep.
I did like at the very end of the movie, and he's got one shot left, Styles is crouched down, with his hand over his mouth, and I wrote, the only time in his goddamn life that he's ever been speechless.
Was Styles wearing a bedazzled fanny pack at that last game?
I don't know. He had so much shit going on, I didn't notice that, but I hope so. In my mind, yes.
I love that he was like, don't change, best friend. I need to do it for the capitalism.
I know. I need to.
And then I did think that at the dance, when Scotty was dancing with the blonde, which I realize is not good of me not to know her name, but she really was terrible. For the guy to be like, hey, that's my object. I mean, oh no, hey, that's my girl.
Alley. At the bowling alley, not at the dance.
At the bowling alley.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, no, we're still dating. And he's like,
I know, that's when I was sad. Then I wrote above there, poor
no, he
Scotty gave his virginity away.
He deserved that. You reap what you sow.
Okay.
You lay down with bitches, you wake up with a broken heart. Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, that's my object.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is. That's
apparently the point of bowling when you are a female is just to shake your ass. That's what I've learned from the movies that we've watched.
This and Grease too, for sure.
Yes.
I
love that Michael J. Fox is of a stature that everyone can just pick him up One of the players like picked him up and ran with him down the court, and the dad just picks him up, and everyone can just pick him up. Oh my god.
He's pocket-sized.
Yes, this movie's fucking terrible, and you should not watch it. It's not worth your time.
Don't rewatch it, y'all. Come on.
Take our word for it.
That's right.
I know how like LeVar Burton's like, don't take my word for it, just take our word for it. Like,
also, I thought it was dumb when he did do the surfing thing on the van, and he just kept doing flips.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is
well,
terrible.
he's obviously a gymnast because, then it's like they put the handles and then he's just like standing. Then he's like, I'm just going to do a handstand for 10 minutes. Right. I think Styles won the van surfing. Like,
and it was really him. Like, he was up there doing it. They had a wire on him, but like, good for him.
Yeah, he won the van surfing.
Like, evidently, despite his many charms, Michael J. Fox is not a dancer, so...
That does
but then I was like, if you get a gymnast, like you can't. All he can do is flips. Like nobody could choreograph anything.
Yeah, like you can't just be like.
He just starts doing the Thriller dance, and they're like, no, shut it down. Stop it. Shut it down. If you're trying to just make money, you reap what you sow.
That's it for this week of I Love You, But.
It's
Join
true.
us next week when we talk about.
Hold on.
The last in our series, is it?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. The next in our series of 80s teens to the max.
We will be revisiting the other John Hughes classic featuring the magic of computers, Pretty in Pink. Where Ryan and I will definitely get into a fight about Ducky. Or won't we?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Stay tuned. I don't even know what's going to happen.
I mean, it's got Annie Potts, so that she's a legend. That part we know is good.
And unlike this movie, it has a good soundtrack.
Has a great soundtrack.
To my best recollection.
There's a kick-ass New Order song in it.
Yeah, like it has at least one good song.
And Harry Dean Stanton, also a legend.
Yes, from Kentucky.
It's great that we're reminiscing about the movie before we've even watched it. Come on and reminisce about the movie.
Write all this down. What we remember.
We're experts.
All right. What did you love? What did you remember? What did we forget? Find us on Threads and Instagram. Or not Threads, but definitely Instagram. Email us at our email address.
iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com. Listener email and comments may show up in future episodes.
I'm Heather.
If you like us, please tell your friends, rate, review, subscribe. We're on YouTube Music now, so if that's your jam, you can find us there. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.